Second, annihilation of caste with a reply to Mahatma Gandhi. Know truth as truth and untruth as untruth by Buddha. He that will not reason is a bigot. He that cannot reason is a fool. He that dare not reason is a slave by H. Dermond. Annihilation of Caste, preface to the second edition. The speech prepared by me for the Jat Paat Todak Mandal of Lahore has had an astonishingly warm reception from the Hindu public for whom it was primarily intended. The English edition of 1500 was exhausted within 2 months of its publication. It is translated into Gujarati and Tamil. It is being translated in Marathi, Hindi, Punjabi and Malayalam. The demand for the English text will continue unabated. To satisfy this demand, it has become necessary to issue a second edition. Consideration of history and effectiveness of appeal have led me to retain the original form of the essay, namely the speech form, although I was asked to recast it in the form of a direct narrative. To this edition, I have added 2 appendixes. I had collected in Appendix 1 the 2 articles written by Mr. Gandhi by way of review of my speech in the Harijan and his letter to Mr. Santram, a member of the Jat Paat Todak Mandal. In Appendix 2, I have reprinted my views in reply to the articles of Mr. Gandhi collected in Appendix 1. Besides Mr. Gandhi, many others have adversely criticized my views as expressed in my speech, but I have felt that in taking notice of such adverse comments, I should limit myself to Mr. Gandhi. These I have done not because what he has said is so weighty as to deserve a reply, but because to many a Hindu he has an oracle so great that when he opens his lips it is expected that the argument must close and no dog must bark. But the world owes much to rebels who would dare to argue in the face of the pontiff and insist that he is not infallible. I do not care for the credit which every progressive society must give to its rebels. I shall be satisfied if I make the Hindu realize that they are a sick men of India and that their sickness is causing danger to the health of and happiness of other Indians. By Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Preface to the third edition. The second edition of this essay appeared in 1937 and was exhausted within a very short period. A new edition has been in demand for a long time. It was my intention to recast the essay so as to incorporate into another essay of mine called as Castes in India, Their Origin and Their Mechanism, which appeared in the issue of the Indian Antiquary Journal for May 1917. But as I could not find time, and as there is very little prospect of my being able to do so, and as the demand for it from the public is very insistent, I am content to let this be mere reprint of the second edition. I am glad to find that this essay has become so popular, and I hope that it will serve the purpose for which it was intended. By Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, 22 Prithviraj Road, New Delhi, 1st December 1944. Prologue. On December 12, 1935, I received the following letter from the Mr. Santram, the Secretary of the Jat Paat Todak Mandal. My dear Dr. Sahib, many thanks for your kind letter of the 5th December. I have released it for press without your permission, for which I beg your pardon. As I saw no harm in giving it publicity, you are a great thinker, and it is my well-considered opinion that none else has studied the problem of caste so deeply as you have. I have always benefited myself and our Mandal from your ideas. I have explained and preached it in the Kranti many times, and I have even lectured on it in many conferences. I am now very anxious to read the exposition of your new formula. It is not possible to break caste without annihilating the religious notion on which the caste system is founded. Please do explain it at length at your earliest convenience, so that we we may take up the idea and emphasizes it from press and platform. At present, it is not fully clear to me. Our executive committee persists in having you as our president for our annual conference. We can change our dates to accommodate your convenience. Independent Harijans of Punjab are very much desirous to meet you and discuss with you their plans. So if you kindly accept our request and come to Lahore to preside over the conference, it will be served double purpose. We will invite Harijan leaders of all shades of opinion and you will get an opportunity of giving your ideas to them. The Mandal has deputed our Assistant Secretary Mr. Indra Singh to meet you at Bombay in Christmas on the occasion of the Christmas and discuss with you the whole situation with a view to persuade you to please accept our request. The Jat Path Todak Mandal I was given to understand to be an organization of caste Hindu social reformers with the one and only aim, namely to eradicate the caste system from amongst the Hindus. As a rule, I don't like to take any part in a movement which is carried on by the caste Hindus. Their attitude towards the social reform is so different from mine that I have found it difficult to pull on with them. Indeed, I find their company quite uncongenial to me on account of our differences of opinion. Therefore, when the Mandal first approached me, I declined their invitation to preside. The Mandal, however, would not take a refusal from me and sent down one of its members to Bombay to press me to accept the invitation. In the end, I agreed to preside. The annual conference was to be held at Lahore, the headquarters of the Mandal. The conference was to meet in Easter but was subsequently postponed to the middle of May 1936. The reception committee of the Mandal has now cancelled the conference. The notice of the cancellation came long after my presidential address had been printed. The copies of this address are now lying with me. As I did not get an opportunity to deliver the address from the presidential chair, the public has not had an opportunity to know my views on the problems created by the caste system. To let the public know them and also to dispose of the printed copies which are lying on my hand, I have decided to put the printed copies of the address in the market. The accompanying pages contain the text of that address. The public will be curious to know what led to the cancellation of my appointment as the president of the conference. At the start, a dispute arose over the printing of the address. I desired that the address should be printed in Bombay. The Mandal wished that it should be printed in Lahore on the ground of economy. I did not agree and insisted upon having it printed in Bombay. Instead of agreeing to my proposition, I received a letter signed by several members of the Mandal from which I give the following extract. 27/3/36, 1936 in fact. Revered Dr. G. Your letter of the 24th instant addressed to Sant Ram has been shown to us. We were a little disappointed to read it. Perhaps you are not fully aware of the situation that has arisen here. Almost all the Hindus in the Punjab are against your being invited to this province. The Jat Path Todak Mandal has been subjected to the bitterest criticism and has received censorious rebuke from all quarters. All the Hindu leaders, among whom being Bhai Parmanand, MLA, ex-president Hindu Mahasabha, Mahatma Hans Raj, Dr. Gokal Chand Narang, Minister for Local Self-Government Raja Narendra Nath, MLC, etc., have disassociated themselves from this step of the Mandal. Despite all this, the runners of the Jat Path Todak Mandal, the leading figure being Sant Ram, are determined to wade through thick and thin, but would not give up the idea of your presidentship. The Mandal has earned a bad name. Under the circumstances, it becomes your duty to cooperate with the Mandal. On the one hand, they are being put to so much trouble and hardship by the Hindus, and if on the other hand you to augment their difficulties, it will be a most sad coincidence of bad luck for them. We hope you will think over the matter and do what is good for us all. This letter puzzled me greatly. I could not understand why the Mandal should displease me for the sake of a few rupees in the matter of printing the address. Secondly, I could not believe that men like Sir Gokul Chand Narang had really resigned as a protest against my selection as president, because I had received the following letter from Sir Gokul Chand himself. 5 Montgomery Road, Lahore, 7/2/36. Means 7 date 7th month 2 1936. Dear Dr. Ambedkar, I am glad to learn from the workers of the Jat Path Todang Bundle that you have agreed to preside at their next anniversary to be held at Lahore during the Easter holidays. It will give me much pleasure if you stay with me while you are at Lahore. More when we meet. Yours sincerely, G.C. Narang. Whatever be the truth, I did not yield to this pressure, but even when the Mandal found that I was insisting upon having my address printed in Bombay instead of agreeing to my proposal, the Mandal sent me a matters personally. Mr. Har Bhagwan. Okay, I am going to read it once again. Whatever be the truth, I did not yield to this pressure, but even when the Mandal found that I was insisting upon having my address printed in Bombay instead of agreeing to my proposal, the Mandal sent me a wire that were sending Mr. Har Bhagwan to Bombay to talk over matters personally. Mr. Har Bhagwan came to Bombay on the 9th of April. When I met Mr. Har Bhagwan, I found that he had nothing to say regarding the issue. Indeed, he was so unconcerned regarding the printing of the address, whether it should be printed in Bombay or in Lahore, that he did not even mention it in the course of our conversation. All that he was anxious for was to know the contents of the address. I was then convinced that in getting the address printed in Lahore, the main object of the Mandal was not to save the money but to get at the contents of the address. I gave him a copy. He did not feel very happy with some parts of it. He returned to Lahore. From Lahore, he wrote to me the following letter. Lahore, dated April 14, 1936. Dear Dr. Sahib, since my arrival from Bombay on the 12th, I have been indisposed, owing to my having not slept continuously for 5 to 6 nights, which were spent in the train. Reaching here, I came to know that you had come to Amritsar. I would have seen you there if I were well enough to go about. I have made over your address to Mr. Santram for translation, that he has liked it very much, but he is not sure whether it could be translated by him for printing before the 25th. In any case, it would have a wide publicity, and we are sure it would wake the Hindus up from their slumber. The passage I pointed out to you at Bombay has been read by some of our friends with a little misgiving, and those of us who would like to see the conference terminate without any untoward incident would prefer that at least the word Veda be left out for the time being. I leave this to your good sense. I hope, however, in your concluding paragraphs you will make it clear that the views expressed in the address are your own, and that the responsibility does not lie on the Mandal. I hope you will not mind this statement of mine, and would let us have 1000 copy of the address, for which we shall of course pay. To this fact and to this effect, I have sent you a telegram today. A check of ₹100 is enclosed herewith, which kindly acknowledge and send us your bills in due time. I have called a meeting of the reception committee and shall communicate their decisions to you immediately. In the meantime, kindly accept my heartfelt thanks for the kindness shown to me and the great pains taken by you in the preparation of your address. You have really put us under a heavy debt of gratitude. Yours sincerely, Har Bhagwan. P.S. Kindly send the copies of the Kindly send us the copy of the address by passenger train as soon as it is printed, so that the copy may be sent to the press for publication. According, I handed over my manuscripts to the printer with an order to print 1000 copies. 8 days later, I received another letter from Mr. Har Bhagwan, which I reproduced below. Lahore, 22/4/36. Dear Dr. Ambedkar, we are in receipt of your telegram and letter, for which kindly accept our thanks. In accordance with your desire, we have again postponed our conference, but feel that it would have been much better to have it on the 25th and 26th, as the weather is growing warmer and warmer every day in the Punjab. In the middle of the May it would be fairly hot and the sittings in the daytime would not be very pleasant and comfortable. However, we should try our best to do all we can do to make the things as comfortable as possible. If it is held in the middle of May.